The afternoon sun painted the city in gold as people hurried past the tall glass walls of Le Grand Dine, one of the most luxurious restaurants in town. Inside, everything sparkled, from the crystal chandeliers to the polished floors that mirrored the light, like liquid stars. But amid the elegance, a little girl with curious brown eyes and soft curls sat at a corner table with her father, a man of calm authority dressed in a simple but clearly expensive grey suit. His name was Richard Carter, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the city, though he carried his wealth like a quiet secret. Across from him sat his daughter, Lily, only 8 years old, but already known for her innocent heart and gentle curiosity about people. As they waited for their food, Lily rested her chin on her small hands, gazing around the restaurant. "Daddy," she whispered, "why does everyone look so serious here?" Richard chuckled softly, glancing at the stiff postures and perfect manners of the guests. "Because, sweetheart, some people think happiness is something they need to buy." Lily frowned, confused by his answer, but said nothing. Moments later, a young waitress approached their table. Her uniform was neatly pressed, but her eyes carried a heaviness that no makeup could hide. Her name tag read, Emma. Her hands trembled slightly as she poured water into their glasses. Lily noticed immediately. The woman smiled, trying to hide her exhaustion, but Lily caught the small tear forming at the edge of her eye. "Are you okay, miss?" Lily asked innocently. The waitress froze for a second, startled by the question. She looked down at the little girl, her lips parting as if to answer, but her voice caught in her throat. "Oh, I'm fine, sweetheart," she finally managed, her smile forced. Richard watched quietly, not interrupting. "You don't look fine," Lily said softly. "You look like you want to cry." The honesty in her tone pierced through Emma's guard. She quickly wiped her eyes and turned away, mumbling something about getting their order. Richard watched her leave, his eyes thoughtful. He'd seen that look before, the look of someone carrying the world's weight while pretending it wasn't there. As Emma walked away, another customer snapped his fingers impatiently, and she rushed to serve him. The man scolded her for being slow, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Lily's face turned red with frustration. "Daddy, that man is being mean to her," she whispered. "Why doesn't anyone help?" Richard put his hand on hers gently. "Because not everyone sees what you see, Lily. You see people's hearts." Lily looked down, thinking deeply. When Emma returned with their meal, Lily noticed her hands shaking again. The little girl smiled up at her. "Miss, do you have lunch today?" Emma blinked, confused. I'm working, sweetheart. I'll eat later." But Lily frowned. "You look hungry. You should eat now." Emma smiled weakly, shaking her head. "I'm okay, really." Lily turned to her father, her eyes pleading. "Daddy, can she eat with us, please?" The restaurant fell silent for a moment. A few nearby guests turned their heads, shocked that a millionaire's daughter had just invited a waitress to their table. Emma's face went pale. "Oh no, sweetie, I can't. I'll get in trouble," she stammered. Richard looked at his daughter, then at the waitress. For a moment he said nothing, only smiled, that soft, knowing smile that made people wonder what he was thinking. Then he nodded slowly. "Of course she can," he said quietly. The waitress froze. "Sir, I can't possibly—" But Richard raised his hand gently. "You've been running around all day. Sit, please." His tone wasn't commanding. It was kind, firm, fatherly. Emma hesitated, then slowly sat down at the edge of the table, clearly uncomfortable. Lily grinned brightly, pushing her plate toward her. "Here, you can share with me." Emma looked between the two of them, tears welling in her eyes. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I know," Lily said, "but I want to." As they ate together, the world outside their little corner seemed to fade. Emma told them small things about herself, how she was working double shifts to pay for her mother's medicine, how she hadn't had a proper meal in 2 days because she wanted to save money for rent. Richard listened silently, occasionally nodding. Lily, however, listened with wide eyes and a heart that felt heavier with every word. "That's not fair," she said finally. You're so kind and you help everyone, but no one helps you." Emma tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked. "That's life, sweetheart. Some of us just have to keep going." When the meal ended, Emma stood to thank them, but Richard stopped her. He took out his wallet and placed a thick envelope on the table. "This is not a tip," he said softly. "This is a start. A chance." Emma shook her head instantly. "Sir, I can't take that." But he smiled. "You can. Because once, someone gave me a chance when I was in your shoes." Her eyes widened in disbelief. She'd never imagined a man like him could ever have struggled. "You?" she whispered. Richard nodded. "I was a waiter once too." Emma covered her mouth as tears streamed down her cheeks. The restaurant, still watching, was completely silent. Richard stood, placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "Don't lose hope. The world notices kindness. Maybe not right away, but it does." Then he looked at his daughter. "And it all starts with someone like her." He smiled proudly. That night Emma went home and opened the envelope. Inside were several $1,000 and a small note that read, "Dreams don't fade, they wait." She cried like she hadn't cried in years. And that day, a little girl learned that kindness didn't need to be taught, only seen. A year passed. The city kept moving. New faces filled the same restaurant, and Le Grandin still shimmered with its elegance and noise. Richard Carter's business had grown even more, but so had his humility. He often told his daughter, "Wealth means nothing if it doesn't feed someone else's hunger." Lily, now 9, had made a habit of smiling at every waiter she met, always remembering Emma, the woman who had cried at their table. One Sunday afternoon, Richard and Lily returned to the same restaurant. The manager greeted them warmly. "Welcome back, Mr. Carter. It's an honor." Richard smiled politely. "We'd like the same table as last time." As they sat down, Lily looked around curiously. "Do you think that nice waitress still works here?" she asked. "Maybe," Richard said softly, "but people who find their light often move on to brighter places." Moments later, a confident young woman in a neatly tailored outfit walked toward their table. She wasn't wearing a waitress uniform. Instead, she wore a business blazer and carried a clipboard. Her eyes sparkled with gratitude and familiarity. "Good afternoon," she said, smiling. "Welcome back, Mr. Carter, Miss Lily." Lily's mouth dropped open. "Emma, is that you?" The woman laughed warmly. "Yes, it's me. But now I'm the new restaurant manager." Richard leaned back, smiling that same quiet smile. "I had a feeling you'd rise faster than the rest," he said. Emma nodded, her voice trembling. "You gave me a chance when no one else would. That envelope changed everything. I paid off my debts, helped my mum recover, and started night classes. The owner noticed my dedication and promoted me. I wanted to tell you, thank you." Richard shook his head gently. "You should thank the one who invited you that day," he nodded toward Lily. Emma smiled down at the girl, kneeling to her level. "I will never forget your kindness, sweetheart. You reminded me what humanity feels like." Lily giggled shyly. "I just wanted you to eat." Emma's eyes shimmered. "And that little act reminded me that I deserve to be cared for too." Just then another waitress rushed by and accidentally spilled a small tray of water on the floor. Everyone in the room turned their heads, ready to judge, but Emma quickly stepped in, helping the young girl up with a reassuring smile. "It's okay," she said softly. "We all make mistakes." Richard watched with quiet pride. The same compassion had passed on. As the meal went on, Emma personally served their table, even though she didn't need to. She brought out the chef's special dessert and whispered, "On the house, from me." Richard looked around the restaurant and noticed something different. The atmosphere was warmer. The staff seemed happier. It wasn't just a workplace anymore. It felt like a family. Emma's kindness had transformed it from the inside. Before leaving, Richard stood and extended his hand. "Keep changing lives the way you changed yours," he said. Emma shook his hand, her voice steady. "I will. You showed me that one good deed can echo forever." As they stepped outside, the evening sun painted the city in gold again, just like the day it all began. Lily walked beside her father, holding his hand. "Daddy," she said softly, "I want to help more people." "Like Emma?" Richard smiled down at her. "Then you already are, sweetheart. Every act of kindness plants a seed, and you never know where it might grow." They walked together into the glow of the city lights, leaving behind a story that no one inside that restaurant would ever forget.